Right, YouTube. This is a short video I'm making to demonstrate a couple of hacks to keep your Kinetic watches charged. This is the first one. This requires the presence of a dedicated charger. This charger right here is for the Philips Imageo candle-light system. This was a system of electric candles that was created by Philips. I guess it was like 4 or 5 years ago. You can still find it available in some stores. You can also pick those up as a set, refurbished. Those were the candles. Those candles were, those are not charged at the moment. Those candles were supposed to be placed like this, and the induction charger, there are actually some coils wrapped around the base underneath this plastic, and the conduction charging enables the candle to operate with its small internal battery. Now these sets typically are sets for 3 candles, so you get your 3 electric candles and the charger. Now the charger happens to also be able to charge a kinetic engine. This here is a CBCW003 Scuba Master from the 90s. It has the 5M45 kinetic engine, and you can charge pretty much any kinetic engine of the 5M type, 5M23, 5M43, 5M63, 5M85, or the newest kinetics, by placing it upright. This is the position that you use onto those chargers. You can actually use it to charge 3 watches at the same time. Now, all you really need to do is place the watch upright. This is very different to the Seiko own induction charger, because it operates in a slightly different way. Now, there are people who claim that you can get the optimum charging by placing each watch so that the crown is facing that little operating button in the middle here. This is red, by the way, right now, because it is working. Or, like so. But I've found that the main really thing is to just keep it vertical. Now, depending on the watch, this might be easier or harder. You may need to remove the bracelet, but most of the time the space is quite large enough. There's also a type which is white, all white. That one works pretty well. It may even work a little bit better than this one, but this has a wider aperture here, so you can fit larger watches more easily than the white type. The white type, however, appears to be somewhat easier to get a better charge. Now, I haven't really tried this one with a lot of other engines. I have had a 7L22 chronograph, and I found that the best really charging position was like so. That you had to place the watch with dial down, and probably the crown should be also towards the red light. Haven't really tried any other type of kinetic engines, say the 5M and the 7L, but these are really the vast majority of kinetics out there. Now, induction charging has a lot of pros and some cons. The obvious pro is that you can, just let it there for a few hours or more than that, and it will charge the watch. Very simple, very easy to do. And now, how long it will take? Well, for a watch with one of the newer capacitors, with a 6-month power reserve, it could take up to a couple of days to get it fully charged from 0 to 6 months. And the thing you have to notice is that these have a charging cycle of about 8 hours. So if you place it here, And if you leave it like that, you cannot just leave it for a couple of days because it will switch off after 8 hours. So you need to check on that periodically. Now, the sign that it's getting enough charge is that the watch will become slightly warm to the touch, depending, of course, on how large the case is. This one being quite a fat case, it won't become quite as warm, but getting warm to the touch is a sure sign that it's actually getting its charge, just like your cell phone gets warm to the touch once you charge it. The cons, well, one of it is exactly the temperature, because people are saying, well, you know, temperature, high temperature is an enemy of any lithium battery, and this should be no exception. So once you use it a lot of times, then probably the battery will get degraded faster. Now, I haven't found this to be true with the use that I've put it through, and quite honestly, if you have a 6-month power reserve, then you only need to do it maybe a couple times per year, because in the meantime you will be wearing the watch even occasionally, and wearing a kinetic watch for a day will get you 2 days worth of charge. So basically you only need to do this a couple times per year if you charge it up to, you know, the full and wear the watch occasionally. And also I found that the kinetic engine in a newer watch really needs to get itself charged up to a full mark at least once, so that it will reach its optimum potential. If it doesn't, if your watch is lingering, you know, to the 1 week mark, then you're not getting the full effect and full potential of your battery, and you really need to get it fully charged. I've seen it in new watches. I've picked them up. I couldn't for the life of me charge them more than the 1 week mark. I've placed them inside one of those, got them fully charged, and then it just took off from there, and they kept their charge really well. So I think it's very important for any new battery to get it fully charged with this way or any other way you can. Another potential minus is that, you know, induction charging works with a small magnetic field. And the magnetic field that's produced by the small coil in there is picked up by the 2 coils that are inside any kinetic engine, and it's producing the electric charge that is needed to charge up the battery. So you're thinking, what? Wait, am I placing this watch in magnetic field? I've been told that magnetic fields are, you know, mortal danger to any watch. It will make it spin fast, out of control. And that's true for mechanical watches, because mechanical watches get their hairsprings magnetized, and a magnetized hairspring always makes the watch go real fast. You will gain, you know, a couple of minutes per hour. But with quartz watch, it's not really as susceptible to magneticism, because there is no mainspring, no hairspring, and the only thing really that can get magnetized are the hands, and that will require a very, very potent magnetic field, the kind you see in magnetic resonance imaging, in medical research, in physics research, and stuff like that. This is a very weak magnetic field. It doesn't cause any interference if you place it, you know, near loudspeakers. It won't cause any interference with your cell phone or anything. This is a very small magnetic field, just large enough to be able to charge your watch, and of course, you know, it's a usual Philips Imageo candlelight here. So, and basically, inside any kinetic watch, there are 2 coils that also produce their own magnetic field. So, how can you be really afraid of magneticism from outside with a weak magnetic field when the coils inside your very watch also produce their own minute magnetic field just by operating? Because, you know, they are coils. Any coil, by definition, is producing a very weak magnetic field. I haven't had any problems with those watches being charged. I haven't seen any meaningful difference in their, timekeeping. So I can attest to the fact that you don't really need to worry about a magnetic field here. But there are valid concerns, and I thought that it would need some answering. Now, what's the problem with this method? Well, first of all, if you have a ginormous watch, it will be hard to put it inside. That's pretty rare because it will accept, that's a pretty largest watch here. It's 42mm without the crown. So I guess any Imageo charger will accept anything up to 46mm without major hassle. But the main problem you may find, and I found this to be true, is what happens if the watch is totally magnetic proof, because there are a couple of watches that are fully magnetic proof, that you can take them inside magnetic resonance imaging without any problem, and that watch obviously will not get charged by putting it into a very weak magnetic field, such as this one. For those instances, and for the instance, of course, that you cannot get one of those, right now you can. I've picked one of those refurbished with a set of candle lights that wouldn't work, but I didn't really care because, I don't need the candle lights. This set, I got it brand new and it does work. It's, pretty nifty for the missus, if you like the sort of stuff women do. And I got a set with a set of candle lights that wouldn't work, that the batteries got wasted because they hadn't been charged for a long time, and I got it for like $7 from a German seller. And occasionally you will be able to get a couple of those, chargers for various few cash. It's worth hunting after them. I have a couple of sets now. Have this one for the office and one for home. It's an overkill, I know, but I used to have, like 7 or 8 Kinetic watches. Now I'm down to 3. So if you can't find one of those, the toothbrush solution can be a pain. I don't really recommend that. But there is another solution that I'll be presenting in the second part of this video, and that's using a vinyl records platter, a turntable system. Let's pause now and I will go to that. Right, so this is the alternate method. What we have here is a record player, a vinyl record turntable, in which I have used some adhesive tape to tape the watch in question vertically on the platter, and I've set it in motion in 45 RPM. This is a pretty small turntable. Again, it would be 100. It fits the bill because it's very light, and I don't really use it for its original purpose. I have taped the arm over there so that it's fixed on a playing position, and the platter keeps on turning, and this way it slowly charges up the movement. Now this is obviously much more natural. Yeah, I know it seems very funny, but it is a much more natural way of charging a kinetic watch. It does use the swing like a pendulum. How fast it is? Well, it's it takes about an hour to gain a day's worth of power reserve. So I guess if you leave it playing for the evening, you get a week, and in a couple of days you have a month. Now, a particular watch is a direct drive watch. It only comes with 1 month's power reserve anyway. So I guess it's a good compromise because, as I said, this particular watch is fully magnetic resistant. So the Imageo or any other really inductive charging method will not work. Obviously, you can charge any watch you want this way, but it will be quite slower, and it will be rather messy because you will need some way of turning it, of spinning that around. You will need to have some space and leave this one unattended for quite some time, but it will get the job done. So can't really complain. Quite a hack, but a useful one. Obviously, if you are planning to use it on a watch with a 6-month power reserve, it will take a while to charge it all the way up. But hey, to each his own. I'm using both methods. I wish this one charged on the Imageo, but it doesn't. So I'm using this one since I have a large collection. I'm charging it up to a month power reserve. If I wear the watch, a couple of days per week, maybe I'll need to recharge it after a couple of months or so, which is not bad. I've tried taping it horizontally, but it didn't do much good. I found that the vertical position actually helps winding it quite a bit more. As you can see, I've placed it at an angle. This is a 45-degree angle on this chair. Obviously you can lean it against a wall. Now, if you have one of those players that does 78 RPM, probably it would be better. As you've also noticed, this is a reduced size platter. It's not a full size platter. I guess that if I had a larger platter and I could tape it near the edge, it would also improve, winding efficiency. This is quite a small platter. Obviously, the farther away from the center it could be taped, the larger degree of centrifugal force would be applied to the watch. So if you have a larger platter, it will probably be more efficient, even more so if you have something with 78 RPM. Now I've removed the rubber strip to tape it directly on the steel platter, mostly because this watch is already quite heavy. It's a very large watch, 48mm piece, and usually a platter will complain if you load it up with a really heavy watch. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this video with these two hacks you can use to different levels of efficiency to wind your kinetics. Thanks for watching.